Hello, and welcome to the Inside EVs podcast for January the 28th, 2022. This is episode number 95. On today's show, we'll be talking about Tesla's record fourth quarter, the highlights from the Tesla earning call, and U.S. pricing for Kia EV6 that's been just released. I'm Dominic Chioni, Inside EVs forum moderator and Inside EVs editor. Joining us today is the tremendously trustworthy Tom Logney, Inside EVs editor and host of the YouTube channel State of Charge. We also have the maestro, Mr. Martin Lee, from the EV News Daily podcast, which is available on all the best podcast platforms. And of course, Kyle Connor will be joining us shortly from the majestic, practically palatial halls of Out of Spec Studios. He also puts together totally tubular videos for the Inside EVs YouTube channel. Okay, so before we get going, I'd like to ask that you please subscribe to the channel. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button and ring that bell icon for notifications. If you're watching us on Twitch, you can also ring that bell icon for notifications. All right, so with that out of the way, welcome everybody, and welcome viewers online right now already chiming in. Good morning, that's awesome. Great to see you all here. Really appreciate our live audience. Actually, you guys are make this so much easier and better. It's like, thank you so much for joining us. So let's kick it off with our comment of the week, or Kotwa for short. This week's comment comes to us from last Friday's live stream, and it's from our friend and occasional guest Lacey, who goes by Miss Go Electric on her YouTube and social channels. Said she, "Kyle is reckless," laughing emoji. Permanent disclosure needed on this podcast.
We should explain why she said that.
Oh yeah, we're getting to that. Indeed.
It doesn't need an explanation.
Actually, it applies to most things.
Kyle is reckless, period.
Kyle is reckless. Well, sure. But so I believe she might have typed this when we were talking about home charging unit installations, I believe. And Kyle may have suggested that people do this by themselves. We love Kyle, but don't do that because we also love you and don't want you to die and or get a huge fine from your municipality and or burn down your house and lose everything you own. So I don't know, Tom, you have anything to add?
Yeah, that's when I was actually talking about that. And, you know, I do a lot of videos on electric vehicle charging equipment, home charging equipment, and I always stay away from, explaining how you install it. Now, yes, it's not that difficult, but you really ought to pull a permit, get a licensed electrician, do it by the books. You don't want to be that very small percentage that, something wasn't tightened really tightly and over time loosens up. Those of you that are OGs with electric vehicles from back in the day will remember or may remember somewhere around 2010 or 2011, a Chevy Volt burned down the house. Yeah. And it was because the owner wired his own outlet for the charger. And, it gave electric vehicles a black eye. I mean, it really could set back the whole industry if issues like that start happening, let alone, you could kill yourself. But, hey, I mean, that's on you. If you did something poorly and you suffer the consequences, don't drag down the rest of the industry where people don't want to buy electric cars now because they're quote unquote unsafe. They're extremely safe. Home charging is extremely safe if it's done properly.
And yeah, electricians, they know the local codes, and that's important to follow those and be in just have them all your I's dotted and T's crossed, because you can get big fines if it comes to the light that, you've done something like that.
Electric vehicle charging, sorry, Martin, is different than most other electrical appliances in that it delivers an extraordinarily high amount of power for many continuous hours and often every day. Charging your car can pull more power than what the rest of your house is calling for all of the circuits. And if you know anything about electric, the wires heat up, they cool down. So as you're using this very high amount of power, and then for many hours, things get really hot, then they cool down, then they get hot, then they cool down. The expansion and contraction loosens connections. And a lot of people don't realize you've got to really clamp down the all of your connections on electric vehicle charging equipment. The electricians know that. They really get in there and twist it till you almost can't turn it anymore. And the layman may not understand that, tighten it up enough, but then a year or two later, the wires have loosened up, they're starting to slip out, and you could really have a lot of trouble. I mean, that's just one of the reasons, but don't put that stuff in yourself, please.
Yeah.
No. I try and explain to people, think of lightning. Like lightning is electrical energy in the sky, and
Right.
it wants to hit the highest thing. It'll hit like church spires, and it wants the easiest path of least resistance to the earth to discharge. And that's the same with charging your EV. There's a 1 in a million chance of being hit by lightning, 1 in a million chance that something goes wrong with an EV. But if it happens, a huge amount of current wants to get to ground as quick as possible. Electricity wants to take the path of least resistance to go to ground, and that's probably you standing there holding your charge socket and touching your car. It'll go through a wire, a low resistance wire, and you're safe. Going through you to get to ground is going to give you a really bad start to your day. So don't wire stuff yourself.
Right.
Absolutely.
But unless you're Kyle, and Kyle can just crack on and do what he needs to. So
All right. So don't listen to Kyle. I mean, Kyle may be reckless. That's our disclosure.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to put that in the
listen,
the intro.
Kyle runs out of spec, so out of spec, out of code. It's all the same to Kyle.
All right.
So Steve says, is he wrecked? No, I mean, genuinely, we'd love to spread disinformation about his whereabouts. We knew he was running late today because he has a previous engagement. So 9 times out of 10, yes, he'd be sleeping it off, but right now he's not. So
he's at Starbucks on his way.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
His pink drink. All right. So let's talk about what we've been driving this week. Tom, you're in the Kia EV6 program, I believe, but you can't talk about it yet. Exactly. Not all of it. Some of it, maybe. I'm not sure. What can you tell us? You can tell us about how they charge the cars, I think, maybe.
I could say it looks good.
Right. Next week.
All driving impressions are embargoed till Monday. So that really, I shouldn't talk about it because I'll slip and say something I'm not supposed to. Right. I will say one thing, and I have to try to word this properly. The EV6 is missing an attribute that I've never seen missed on any electric vehicle that's been released ever. Matter of fact, it's never happened here in the U.S. Where the vehicle didn't have this attribute. It may be the case in Europe, but I don't know what every car got, comes equipped with. But I'm going to leave you at that.
Okay.
So, it surprised me, put it that way. But so I love the way the car looked. We got to drive them for a day in Northern California through wine country. Kia always, I tell you, different manufacturers do different, have different levels of, opulence when we do these drive tests. Kia always delivers.
Oh, really?
They always have really good for media first drives, and they put us up in the Montage in Hillsburg, which is like this really gorgeous resort and everything. I mean, everything was first notch, so it was a good time. Montage. But what you were alluding to, one of the things that always interests me, because I'm like a charging geek, is when we do these media drives. Sometimes there's as many as 20 EVs. Sometimes there's only 7 or 8. But on the big events like this one, this was a big event. They brought in a lot of people in 3 different waves. They had over 20 cars. How do you recharge them? Because we drive them all day, so they're pretty dead, and you need to get them recharged by, early in the morning to start for the next wave of people. So sometimes they'll bring them to DC fast chargers. Sometimes they'll, arrange the driving event where there's a lot of public charging. Sometimes you bring your own charging, and that's what Kia did on this because there were so many cars. I don't think they could have brought them in waves to DC fast chargers. They would have been charging them all night. They would have been having to pay people, till 6 a.m. to finish. So they brought in portable generators and had a line of level 2 chargers all hooked up to the generators. It was pretty cool. And it was in this parking garage. So I was the last one. We had like a hard return time on the cars of 5:45 last night. And I didn't get back till like 7:15. And that's not cool. You're supposed to bring it back when they want it back. Yeah. But what I did was I drove the car really hard. I actually said, look, I might do this. Would I get in trouble? And they're like, well, try to have it back as early as you can. So after the media drive was over, I went out on the highway, drove it really hard. got it down to 20% state of charge, and then recorded a DC fast charge session.
Okay.
20 to 90%. So that's going to be something else that I have later on. So when I came back, usually they greet you at the gate and they take the car from you, and you just have to walk into the lobby. But I had to take it to where they were charging them down below in the garage. So I got to see what they were doing. So I pulled out my phone and made a quick video here that I shared with Martin. I think he's going to put it up now to give you guys a little idea of how they charge the cars at these media events.
Right.
If he can put it up, can you?
Oh, he's muted, I think, possibly.
Yeah, you're on mute, Martin.
I can unmute him. Yeah.
Oh, hell, that's embarrassing. I was running through with Dom all the stuff to get ready for the show 15 minutes ago, and we didn't pull that one into the folder. I'm so sorry. Give me 2 minutes. I'll find that. That's in the chat, right?
So, no, I shared it with you on Drive.
Oh, last night. Yeah. Okay. Give me 2 minutes, and I'll grab that in.
Sure.
I'll grab that in.
So yeah, it was interesting. They had these generators set up, and they had a whole bunch of juice boxes, which are 40 amp level 2 chargers. And it was a pretty cool setup because, like I said, they had more than 20 cars that had to get recharged by morning, and on level 2, they're big battery packs, 77.4 kilowatt hour battery packs. And we were driving them down like pretty low. I mean, I actually did them a favor by keeping the car longer and bringing it to the DC fast charger. When I brought it back to the garage, it was like 83%. So all the other cars rolled in at like 30% and lower. So they needed many hours to recharge. And that might have been why we had that hard time to bring the car back, because they needed them charged. But by me going to an Electrify America DC fast charging station, I was kind of doing the work for them. So yeah.
So that video is going to drop on Monday. Do you know what time?
No. My video of the first drive, I'm going to have a first drive written review.
Okay. Sweet.
I did shoot some video.
Okay. But it's not like a video based like sometimes we do, but.
Well, no, I might have it up on my YouTube channel on State of Charge.
Okay.
But I'm not sure I'm going to have it all edited in time. And actually, I'm really upset about it because I got a new phone, a Pixel 6 Pro. Okay. And it's the first time, actually the second time that I used it to do a video. And now that I'm home reviewing all the video, because I did record myself driving the car and everything, the audio is all messed up. I can't even use half the files. And I am so mad. And I know it was my new Pixel Pro because I recorded some of the video with my old Pixel. I use that as a backup and I have it in different positions in the car. And all the audio on that is perfect. And the audio on the Pixel Pro is all messed up. I thought it was my wireless mic at first, but it wasn't. It's the phone, and I'm so mad. So I might not even have a first drive video of this because the audio is so bad. Right.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that charging video because I'm kind of curious about what happens like from 10 to if you go to 90% instead of the 80%. Yeah. Like usually it slows down, like charging slows down to 80%. So we don't really usually charge past then. But say for whatever reason that thing charges so quickly anyway, maybe the 10 to 90 or the 80 to 90% isn't so bad.
Well, the reason why I did 80 to 20 to 90, Dom, is because I couldn't get the battery down to 10%.
Right.
Because I was driving it hard just to get, and I didn't want to get back at like 9 o'clock. So I said, okay, instead of 10 to 80, I'll do 20 to 90. And it wouldn't be the same charging curve, but, and I will tell you this, it was, no, I guess I can't talk about that.
But 10 to 80, they say, is supposed to be 18 minutes. That's like the famous figure that they throw out there.
Yeah, so it's one of those.
I expect it's going to be longer than that. But
this is one of those weird situations where we get stuff before you. So, I mean, I can tell you all about the UK experience of the EV6, Ioniq 5, etc. It's one of those weird ones where you guys just market differences, but Tom has to respect that because it was arranged by Kia US, and so that we have to keep stum. But yeah, I can tell you, like over here, it's 18 to 20 minutes in realistic conditions. If the battery's nice and toasty warm when you get on a nice, reliable, high-powered charger, that's what we're doing. And so hopefully a similar experience. And those cars are, although I do have, I just would say I do have a friend that just bought his second one, and it's been a regular trip back to Kia for him. He was on a long journey, and halfway through the heating just stopped, and it's been 0 degrees. It's been freezing here, and that was less useful. He said the alarm keeps going off at random times in the middle of the night. And Kia saying, "Don't worry, it's a software update that'll fix it." And he's had it, and it's been up and down. So he likes the car. He just thinks that, and the thing is, he's also had the Ioniq 5,
right?
And he didn't experience those. So maybe it's not a platform problem. Maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe Kia and Hyundai split their code at some point, and it's a bit of software code over here and not here, because Ioniq 5 doesn't seem to have these. Or maybe he's just been unlucky, because people get unlucky with cars.
Is that your friend, Mr. R. Simons?
Yeah, so Richard Simons, who buys and sells mostly Teslas, but he's got 2 Model Ys coming in next week when it's delivery day. Right-hand drive Model Y. That's an example of us waiting a lot longer than you for a car. So we're very excited. Not the 9th of Feb. It's a Saturday, so it'll either be the 5th or the 12th or the 19th. But yeah.
All right. Hey, so
we have that. Yeah, we have that video lined up. Let me. If you can't hear the sound, just shout and let me know.
I can't hear the sound.
No sound.
I see. Tom's lips
sound is there. It's just super low.
Oh, say again.
The sound is there, but it's very low. It's really hard to hear.
Man, okay. Let me just turn it up as far as the Windows player will go.
Yeah, nope.
No. I'm really not saying much, though. I'm just saying I'm here, and let's check out the charging stations and see what it looks like, the way, automakers recharge the cars on these media events. That's really all I'm saying. And then next, I'm going to cut to walking up and down and checking out the cars plugged in.
Oops, that was me. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry, if you can't hear it, don't worry. Sorry about that.
Good morning, Kyle.
Morning, guys. How's it going?
All right. Hey, Martin. So, did you have any update on your MG ZS? Your flooding car?
Yeah. So that you can hear me all right now, yeah? So it's not I haven't turned it off. Okay. That came back today. That came back 2 hours ago.
Sweet.
So it went in for a service as well, because EVs need servicing apparently. Well, MGs do. So yeah, what did they? So the leak, the water leak, they claimed was a seal on one of the doors. I'll go with that. They're the experts. They replaced it under warranty, 7-year warranty on the MG, and it's 18 months old. So they replaced the seal, all of the work done under warranty. So it's not cost me anything. We'll wait and see. I mean, it was full. Like both footwells were full of water when it rained, and the boot. I took the because you got a boot liner. There's no spare tire, but there is the puncture repair kit, and then there's a kind of a plastic liner under that to get to the metal. That was full of water. So I don't know. That sounds like a lot of ingress for what is. He said, "Oh, it's a door seal."
Is it raining there today? No,
and it hasn't rained, for a while. So, so look, they're the experts. They say it's fixed, all done under warranty. It's been in for like 2 weeks, so it would be fabulously expensive if I had to pay for that. But they claimed it was a faulty seal. But they can do, I gather they can do lots of water testing. So they've got some tests they can do where they kind of blast it with water and they can see the ingress. So they say it's all fixed. But yeah, it was a seats out, carpets out, everything out of the car, dry them all out, and put them back in again. And then I got relieved, helpfully, of £243 of my hard-earned today for a 2-year service. I guess this is anti-corrosion inspection, which is £159.30 for an anti-corrosion inspection and manufacturer's inspection. So that's, I wish I could add £159.30 for going, yeah, looks right, mate. Yeah. 2-year-old car. That's absolutely fine. They also relieved me of £1.99 for screen wash, £4.95 for consumables, £6.94 for a key battery, which I had just replaced before it went in because I noticed that the key fob would, had to get really close to the car. So that was a battery that I did maybe a month ago. So, but mate, obviously you can't, unless I guess you put a multimeter on that battery. they're just going to replace it every time they do a service. So I'm not criticizing them. I'm just saying £6.94. I think I bought a pack of 8 of those batteries for £2. They're all sitting in my top drawer. And £29.32 for a pollen filter, which is very, very useful. And then the rest is all tax. So £40.50 in tax. So
Jeez.
yes, I'm feeling a bit light. My wallet's very light today because there's £243 less in there. But great experience. Thank you, MG, Hendy MG and Pool. Really brilliant. Called me almost every other day to update me on the next tests they were doing, to check all the drains, everything, and they were telling me what they were doing to the car. So really first class service. I'm not sure I fully understand what EV servicing, what you get for your money yet, but the pollen, I needed a pollen filter, so that's good.
So hey, Kyle, good morning.
Good morning.
You got your Starbucks drink?
No,
Maybe we should
Jordan,
get sponsored by Starbucks.
Actually, funny enough, some Starbucks board members watch our videos and send us every year like this giant Christmas gift.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Brilliant.
Talking about watching videos, I always mention this and it's true every darn media drive event I go to. First night I'm there, they have a welcome dinner, and I'm walking around, and a couple Kia high up executives walk over to me, and they're like, "Tom Malagany, we're so glad that you're here. Like, as soon as we saw your name on the list that was coming, we knew we had to come over and tell you that we love your podcast. We watch you guys every week. It's like required watching for us." So like I've heard that from so many different OEMs. It's pretty cool to know that the industry movers and shakers are watching the podcast along with you guys every week.
Right on.
So
Cool.
before you move on, do you want me to try one more thing to play Tom's video? I've tried a different way of uploading it to this the system we use.
Sure, it's short. It's only a minute, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't think why it wasn't working. Let me try this.
Ever wonder how the manufacturers charge all the EVs when we do these media drives? Sometimes there's 10 or 20 cars. It's not like there's 10 or 20 charging stations anywhere. They all have different really systems. Sometimes they'll bring them to a local DC fast charger and just do one after another. But here what Kia's doing is they have a portable generator in the back. Can you see that back there? And they have all the cars lined up here. You can see them all lined up. And you see what's to my left? That's an NLX juice box. Well, it was back when juice box was made by eMotorworks. Here's another one here. Little different color because juice box made the boxes in different styles. But we got them all lined up out here, all the way down there. You can see there's maybe 15 or 20 Kia EV6s, and we completed our media drive today. So now they're all back at the hotel, charging up for the drive tomorrow morning with the next wave of journalists.
There we go.
Cool.
I'm glad I could bring you. I did a screen share before it didn't work, so there we go.
Right on. So Kyle, were you driving anything electric this week? I know you had the Ford Bronco. That looks like a lot of fun for you, but
Yeah, Bronco is great. And everyone's asking for an electric Bronco. That'd be kind of cool, but maybe limiting in its capabilities. I'm not so sure electric and adventure vehicles go so well together. We'll have to see because we haven't spent time with the Rivian yet. So
Rivian R1S.
Yeah, but
you can make the case that Hummer EV even.
But it's hard to make the case when it's like, yeah, you can only go 100 miles. You have to stay within like 100 or 150 miles of a charge point tether. And I'm not sure how adventurous that is in my mind.
Right.
So,
well, Hummer EV's got 200 kilowatt hour batteries, 350 miles of range for
yeah,
them.
but think about it. On a cold, we took that Bronco off-roading. It was 10 degrees outside. We're going through snow, burning energy to get up there, jumping the thing over stuff. Like, we'd have to be so mindful the entire time to be like, let's not burn too much to make sure we can get back. I'm not sure that's a very limiting or a limitless feeling. So
we'll have to see when the R1S comes out.
Yeah. Once we can play around with the Rivian, then we'll know. We just haven't been able to do this. I mean, I've done trails in Model X, in e-tron, and some other vehicles. So like, I get what it's like to go off-roading near your house. What I haven't been able to do yet really is go where I want to go, which is why I got my Sprinter, which is like where no one else is.
Right.
And with an EV, that's pretty hard. And it's a limited use case. So if they make an electric Bronco, they'll sell every single one of them they can make, and everyone will commute in them to work.
It's a great looking vehicle, though. I'm kind of like, that's why
I think it's the
it'd be nice
best
to see
looking
like an
new
electric
car on
version of
trail.
something that looks that great.
Kyle, you know what I'd be interested in hearing, talking about range and how far it can go. How far does it go on a tank of gas on the road? And then how far does it go on a tank of gas doing what you're doing in the snow, off road? Like, what
Yep.
is your range on that?
Yeah,
Because,
doesn't
you know,
matter.
obviously,
Doesn't
well,
matter. You know
well,
why?
well,
'Cause
you're
I
in the
can
middle of the
bring-
woods.
Yeah, but I
You
can
can bring
bring
gas
a-
cans with you. Yeah.
I can bring so much energy with me in the form of fuel that would weigh 1,500 or 2,000 pounds equivalent in a battery pack.
No,
So-
I hear you. I'm just saying it would be interesting if
Well, yeah,
you
we
did
could do
that,
that
just to
test.
say, you know, like here we talk about how EVs lose their range when under
Yeah.
these kind of conditions. This is what the Bronco did. It goes 350 on pavement, and the way I just off-roaded with it, it goes 180. You know, it would just be cool,
Yeah.
so people can understand that it's not just EVs that don't go as far under those kind of crazy conditions.
And actually, when you off-road an electric car, you don't burn as much energy as you would think, at least in my experience, because it's a lot of low speed creeping. You accomplish an obstacle, throw it in park, wait for your buddy to do theirs, and then for us, we're always out filming. So a combustion vehicle's out there either idling or off, and then a big fuel dump to turn it back on, and then off. And so with an EV, it would probably be very comparable and potentially even have more range. But still, the problem is when you're going on an adventure, fuels, not only is it more prevalent out in the middle of nowhere, you can bring it with you. And with an EV, you have like a spark charge, but that's 5 kilowatt hours, something like that, maybe.
Right.
So I'm still
it's
not
not
convinced
enough.
the electric adventure is there yet, but certainly it's something that I really want to do. And we'll be doing a ton more of it this year, which is like these big challenging things. This whole charging mess away from the public charging networks on adventures. That's what we're going to get into.
Right on. Awesome. All right. So I didn't drive anything this week, but I did finally get to check out the Hyundai Ioniq 5 in person. So I just went down to my local Werner Hyundai dealer here in Tallahassee, and they were really great. And I'd never been in their store before. It was kind of nice. They have Genesis there as well. So I didn't get to drive it, but I did get to see it in the showroom, and I think you have some pictures there. So the exterior design didn't strike me quite as radical as I thought it might, because it's the first time I've seen it, and it is kind of different. But just seeing it in the showroom, it was like, okay. It looked great in matte paint, in the gray matte paint. The dealer had received like 6 of them. They'd already sold 3, so I got to check out a couple. The interior materials are a little nicer than I expected. Good cushioning on the elbows, for the elbows on the doors and center console. It's not really mentioned a whole lot, but the glove compartment is like huge. I think it's like a big drawer. I think Martin, we were talking about it before the show. It's
it's not like a glove box. It's a glove drawer in in that car.
Yeah, it's like unexpectedly like large, and that was kind of neat. Yeah, so there was lots of room in the back seat, as you can see in the front seat for both. I mean, yeah, it's plenty roomy inside. If you do push the seats in the front all the way back, which you wouldn't do unless you're like 7'4" or something, I think, then the person my knees in the back seat were hitting the front seats. But I don't expect most people would do that. That's like normal with me sitting in the front. That picture we're looking at right now, and there's like about 3.5-4 inches of between my knees and the back of the front seat. So plenty of room. It had lots of head space as well in the front and back seat both. I'm 6'2". Let's see what else. I guess my biggest disappointment was probably just like the buttons on the steering wheel. They just felt kind of loose, I like that you could push them straight on or toggle them up and down, but there was like a more looseness, like to kind of wheel around a little bit. It's kind of a small quibble overall, but other than that, I liked it. Yeah, rear storage in the hatch was all right. No, there was no big extra surprise storage space below the floor. It's like just a tire kit and the portable charge cable. That was kind of, I'm so used to seeing them. You open up the back, the floor of the hatch, and there's often a big space down there. But this one, nothing. And it's not like a huge backspace, but it's decent. It's not bad. And as you can see the picture there, the front seats, fold all the way back. And then the upper trim, they have the little kick out thing like in a recliner that supports like the back of your calves as well. But yeah. All right. The salesperson there was really knowledgeable, and he said he planned on getting a Genesis GV60 himself when they came out. So shout out to Michael Montanaro. Yeah, and that's about it for that. I liked it. I was pleasantly surprised, and yeah, this materials are great. I liked it, like that. The back of the seats got some fabric material in there, kind of just a little different. Felt good.
Dom, did you check out the frunk? And did you take a look at, did this have the vehicle to load adapter in the hatch below when you lift up the false floor in the hatch?
See, they had like a carpet or something there. I didn't really want to. That was like a car that was still being prepped. This one here in the showroom, that was like right back up against a wall, pretty much. So I couldn't really get in the back of that one. So I was looking at this other limited one in the back room that was still getting prepped, and it had. I could lift up the floor and kind of see some covered stuff. There was like a hump, and I could see the tire kit was there, but I didn't get to see and I didn't get to open up the frunk, the hood, to look and see the size. I mean, I've seen pictures of before. The all-wheel drive version has like a really small one, and you get, maybe you could put like some smelly, like Kyle Martin says, some smelly takeaway, your fish sandwiches up in there to keep them out of the cab. And
They better be small sandwiches.
Yeah, it's about all it's good for. You couldn't get a charging cable in there. I mean,
Nope.
but the rear wheel drive version, then there's plenty of room in there. That's good. That's great. It would be good. The all wheel drive version, I would keep valuables in there, or I'm not sure it's even big enough for a laptop. I forget. But I would, because people wouldn't think to look in there. And even if they did pop the bonnet for whatever weird reason, it doesn't look like a frunk because it's got another cover over the top of it that you have to pop. It just looks like the top of an engine cover. So, I would put valuables in there if I had to, maybe a camera or something, but it's pretty small.
An interesting thing is, I'm pretty sure I could say this. Hyundai and Kia have slightly different implementations of the frunk, but they both have that cover that you mentioned, Martin, over the frunk, and it doesn't look like a frunk. It looks like one of those big plastic covers over an engine. And when we were having dinner last night after the media drive, I mentioned I had some questions for the Hyundai representatives about the frunk, which I can't really talk about. But one of the other journalists was like, "Wait a minute, there's no frunk." And I said, "Well, sure there is. You pop up the hood and you lift up the cover." And he's like, "I popped the hood to look for it." He goes, "I thought that was a plastic cover like over the components and everything because it looks like it." I said, "No, you got to lift it up." And he was like, "Oh, I should have got video of that." But so it doesn't look like, when you lift it up, it looks like just this giant plastic cover that you usually see over ice. Just this big cover to cover the motor. So it's interesting.
It actually looks the same as the cover on the Kia e-Niro. So that's got exactly what Tom just described. And it's just got 4 little plastic. Just pop it off and have a look at the cables and stuff. And there's nothing much to see under there, but it looks exactly like that.
But your initial reaction, to me at least, and to this other journalist, obviously, it doesn't look like the cover of a frunk. It looks like a plastic cover that's just hiding components, where, it doesn't look like, oh, this thing should lift up. It looks like it's there for good. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
So Toolman 102 is asking how much markup was there. So this one, they're putting around $5,000 markup. And that includes like a package that give you something for that value. It's nothing that I think a lot of people would need or sometimes want, but it's on all their cars. I mean, that's just the way the market is right now. They need to make some money, so they're not selling volume, so they need to make up somehow. That's they said that they would negotiate somewhat. So there's, I think there's still some wiggle room. And Dave Kruger also asks, why are there 4 little holes in the steering wheel of an Ioniq 5? And someone actually answered for him, but it's Morse code for the letter H is 4 dots. So that's why you have 4 dots on the steering wheel. It's the stealth Hyundai logo. Look at that. Stealth. It's also like the little, little style. You see it in the seats. What do you call the little squares? Pixels?
The pixels.
Yeah.
It's like almost like the little pixel design, right? It's like 4 tiny squares across. Like the back tail lights, and that's the same design as in the seats and also in the door panels. Yeah, it's pretty nice. So I went there. Then I went to because a friend of mine was looking for a car, and he was talking about the possibly this or the Volkswagen ID4. So I popped over by the Volkswagen dealer as well, and they don't have any stock. If you want to get an ID4, you have to sign up, pre-order, get on that order list, and it's still 6 months out. Wait, but if someone cancels, then you're on the list, and they can call you up and maybe get you something sooner. Yeah. So that was nice, and then they had a Bolt EV on the lot actually too for like 27 at the Volkswagen dealer. I was like, 27,000. It's like, and it looked good. It's like 6,000 miles, and so I kind of like to move up from my Spark EV. It'd be nice to be able to go to the beach and back without worrying about charging. But I also saw the Frozen Berry Porsche Taycan. There's a 4S. They sell Porsche and Volvo at that dealer as well. And it was great to see that car, man. In that color, it looks so good. Oh, my God. All right. Are we ready to move on to news of the week?
Yeah, there's even someone in the comments saying, I bet you they won't talk about Tesla this week. So let's prove them wrong.
Well, actually, one thing I wanted to mention about ID4s. So there's currently 655 for sale in the country.
Right.
But if you look for just brand new ones, there's probably a little bit less, but tons of them with few miles and everything like that. So
used. You're saying there's some used.
Yeah, but still mostly new. So I could go just new, and there are 554 listed. Some of those might be incoming inventory, but many of them are actual pictures of the car. So you got to shop around. Don't go to your local dealer. Try it first, but it's a countrywide market.
True. That's very true. It's not quite, buying cars isn't quite as limiting as it was in the past, Where I live, it's not that far. I mean, you could drive up Thomasville, Georgia. I guess they have dealers there. Yeah, there's probably another different dealer not too far from any particular place, I guess, in the country. And that's the great thing about dealerships, right? I mean, we give them a hard time, but they do have a role in places, and they do certain things that help manufacturers just do their job as well as a just distribution channel.
Someone asking what you use. Sorry, Tom.
I was going to say. Go ahead, Martin. You go.
What's your source of data? They're asking.
Yeah, so this one I just went to cars.com and searched new ID4 in the country, and 554 matches. Plenty of them on the lots, no markup.
Oh, nice.
And that's what I wanted to talk about, the markups. We're getting like a double whammy now. Some new EVs that are highly anticipated that are coming to market, the EV6, the Ioniq 5, Ford F-150 Lightning, that a lot of people want. And then on top of it, we've got these supply chain issues where the dealers aren't getting nearly the amount of cars and trucks that they used to get. So they're being squeezed. So there's markups. It's not just the electric vehicles. There's markups on other vehicles. But
everything.
As Kyle said, it really depends on where you live. But if you do your research, if you put some time into it and check around, you can typically find the car that you want somewhere at MSRP. I have the F-150 Lightning, and I was really concerned about that now that we have the supply chain issues, and I see how much demand it is for the truck. And I was wondering if I was really even going to get it, because I'm saying, I'm not paying $15,000 over MSRP. I might squeeze a couple thousand over, and it would kill me to do that. But I might have been willing to do that. But I searched, I called a whole bunch of local dealers. I found one that said, look, we'll sell it to you at MSRP. We're selling our Broncos now at MSRP, and all the competing dealers are putting on $5,000 or so. They said the only time we're going to mark it up is if, let's say you special order your F-150 Lightning. When it comes in, you say, nah, I don't want it. So now it's an extra vehicle in inventory, and it sits on the lot. Yeah, we're going to tack a few dollars on it and try to make some extra money. But if you order the vehicle here, you will not pay over MSRP. And a lot of dealers are doing that. So you just have to find them. You have to do a little bit of work.
My local dealer, they said they had they're putting up $1,000, but they're also applying like an interior and exterior finish that's warrantable, like a ceramic. I don't know if it's a ceramic finish, but it's something comparable that's warrantable, and so you get a little something, but at least.
And Tom, really quick, I know we got to get on to the news, but sure. I have got to make a quick little mea culpa. when we did the midweek podcast
Yeah.
a couple of days ago to talk about the Lucid Air and the range test that I did, Kyle and I were talking about Tesla's, the way they measure efficiency, and I made a statement that's not true, and I want to correct that. We talked about how the different OEMs register the efficiency of the vehicle, the miles per kilowatt hour, so forth, and I said that Tesla does not include their like a heating or air conditioning energy use when they on the displayed efficiency, and that is incorrect. They do.
Okay.
I just made a mistake because I've had a lot of conversations with engineers from different OEMs on this topic, and one of the things that stuck out in my head and got me confused was that Tesla does measure their efficiency differently than what most all of the OEMs do. But they do include the loss from heating and cooling. There are other losses from the energy that's in the battery to the wheels that they don't include, that most other OEMs do. And this has been established because all the companies do benchmarking. They all get Tesla vehicles. They all get vehicles from every company, and they analyze the hell out of them, and they try to figure out what they're doing and what they're doing better or what they're not doing better. And two of the engineers in particular from two different companies had said that, we noticed there's a difference in Tesla's EPA filing efficiency and when you drive the car, and they figured it out. And there are certain losses in that chain from the battery to your display that they don't include. And the thing is, there's no rule. Manufacturers can show whatever they want in the in-car. They can eliminate whatever they want, make their cars look, oh, look, it gets 5 miles per kilowatt hour, when it doesn't. And same thing goes with the amount of energy. Like when I did the Lucid Air, it showed that I had driven and I had used 117 kilowatt hour when the battery was exhausted. That's up to Lucid to write the software to show that. So, they could be lying. I'm not saying they are, but I just wanted to put that out there. That's not governed. And it's up to the manufacturer to decide what they want to include in the losses. So I just want to say I was wrong. And when I'm wrong, I try to admit it.
All right. Awesome. And that's pretty rare that you're wrong, Tom. I believe
It
I
happens
called you
once every
tremendously
10
trustworthy at the top of the show this week. So
my memory, I'm getting old, guys. It's
Yeah,
not what it
all.
was.
All right. So the big news of the week is Tesla having a record quarter. It wasn't completely unexpected, of course, but it was still even better than most had anticipated. We won't get too deep into the numbers, but it's worth looking at this financial summary really quick. I don't know if you got that, Martin, that PDF of page 4. I got the link in the show notes there. Let's see. But it's worth looking at the financial summary just to get a sense of the growth the company continues to achieve. So overall, they had a net income this quarter of $2.32 billion on revenue. Net income of $2.32 billion on revenues of $17.7 billion. So let's just look at the automotive numbers here. Auto revenue was up 71% year over year, while profits were up 118%. Regulatory credits, what Tesla gets from other automakers who aren't meeting their environmental standards, was $314 million, which is a pretty small percentage of that overall amount of profit. So there we go. Yeah, page 4.
Sorry about that.
71%. Yeah, 118%. And then also the automotive gross margin was 30.6%. And that's increased again, as it has for the past 4 quarters at least. It was only 24.1 back in the first quarter of 2021. So that's a huge improvement and far better, at least on its face, than what traditional automakers report. So just to underline the growth, if we scroll to page 5 on that document, we can see the same figures for the past 5 years. So revenues over 5 years have increased 500%. And ending this year, so they had $53.8 billion for 2022, and with 13.6 billion of that gross profit. So those are pretty big numbers for a company that forever was being called out for making a loss, not making money, overpriced, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, anyone have any points they want to like to make about those?
Yeah, just summed up really quickly. They've now made more money than they lost. So they like all kind of Silicon Valley startups,
Okay.
which is let's invest and we'll be loss making. And this is, it's not a Tesla thing. It's how many companies go about their business rather than like bootstrapping it, which is let's spend and believe that we're going to make money one day. And they did. They lost money for years and were criticized for that, or only making money because of credits, etc., like you say. But now they've made more money in their history than they've lost. That was a one sentence turning point for me. Like, great, brilliant. Let's crack on.
Sweet. I've never. Where'd you hear that number at? Or did you just notice it?
I like one of the Tesla podcasts that I listen to, or something that I read, and I'm like, that's such a great stat, a number, a one-liner that you can say to people. Like, that's it. Okay, so they're now in the black as a company. Right, here we go. Onwards from here.
Over the years.
Yeah.
And they've been around for a long, 15, close to 20, 18 years.
Yeah.
So does that mean that we don't have to continue to report on their financial reports every quarter?
Now it's getting to the place where
at some point, Dom, we have to say, okay, they're an established company. They've made it. We don't talk about Ford's quarterly reports and Hyundai's and whatever. It's my least favorite podcast, the first one after Tesla's quarterly reports, because I hate talking about that stuff.
Okay.
I've said my piece.
We may just do that because, like you said, from here on out, it's like clear sailing unless something goes catastrophically wrong. But the interesting thing with Tesla is that they have the earnings report afterwards. Let me just
which was meant to be Elon Musk joining this one, because he missed the last one, for a product roadmap update. And ironically, the only thing we didn't get was a roadmap of their products. We just got lots of frustration from him, bless him, because we're all idiots that don't understand his higher level of thinking.
So this time, despite the record result and everything, and continued huge growth, and predicted 2022 growth of easily 50%, they say, the stock took a pretty big hit. It ended down yesterday, like 11.55%, down to $829.10 at yesterday's close, and I believe it's down even more today.
A little, kind of, I guess. I mean, it's
coming back up. I think it was below that, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, definitely the last month or so. If you bought it a month ago at $1,200, then you've had a bad run.
It's a dynamic stock, that up and down. We don't really need to look at that too closely.
But basically, can we just say the gist of this call, because I listened to it, was
sweet.
We're not getting anything this year. It was. Is this going to happen? No. Any question? No. Nothing's
Let's go
happening.
over some of those little parts, like individually. So as expected, Elon Musk, he did give us a product roadmap, but it wasn't like what many had hoped for. For starters, he confirmed the news
it was a good roadmap. It was nothing is happening.
I mean, not exactly. Well, I mean, he confirmed that the Cybertruck.
We're not getting any new stuff.
We're not getting, We're not getting new stuff, but the stuff we'll get to that. Okay. So the Cybertruck won't reach customers until next year. And he also made it sound like the prices may be higher than what were originally shown. So apparently there's a lot of new tech in the truck, and they're trying to figure out how to implement it and still keep it affordable. But then he still said something about, they want to make 1 million of them a year, so he doesn't think that there's going to be a huge impediment there. I don't know. Anyone want to just comment on that part?
Well,
I don't think it's any surprise.
Okay.
I said in the last show, I think I'm going to be giving my offspring, which I don't have yet, I'm going to be handing them down my Cybertruck reservation.
All right. So,
by the word was hopefully 2023. Now, I don't want to give him a hard time on using that word because, we in conversation sometimes you drop things in as it's thinking time,
right?
But still, that I was terrified by that when Elon's like, "Well, hopefully 2023." And you think, what, for the Cybertruck, a vehicle that you've just been leaking photos? Sorry, it's not leaking, but photos and videos have been creeping their way from what is otherwise a locked down set, as it were, and all of a sudden, people taking pictures and posting them on Facebook. I thought that was setting up. I thought those 3 days of were setting up the big reveal. And so we had 3 days of, one of the employees filmed a video, they're going to get in trouble, and then the news was hopefully 2023. And you're like,
I think he said he's been driving it around on Twitter. I think he said he's been driving around the Austin Gigafactory a little bit.
Yeah, and then yesterday he invited Joe Rogan to go and drive it around Texas, and so that's obviously gone out to his millions of Instagram fans and stuff. So on one hand, they're pumping it, and on the other hand, hopefully next year, but maybe not. So this could be the world's greatest sandbag, like they did with the Model Y, because the Model Y, one day everyone woke up and they're like, oh yeah, customer deliveries have started.
Right.
So what else is going on, guys? And it's like, what the hell? So this could be the ultimate sandbag.
And that's the most recent launch.
Yeah.
Done. So that might be the new motto.
That could be the model. Is in 2 months' time, they're like, oh, by the way, deliveries have started of Cybertruck. So what else is new, guys? So or it could be 2 years away. Like, we don't know, but it's
right. So the other surprise from the call, I guess, well, there's a few surprises really, but the other maybe bigger surprise is that there is no $25,000 car being worked on.
It never was.
That's zero surprise. Why would you ever think they were working on this? A Model 3 was already 35. Like 25 is not world changing at that point.
Well, for some people it is.
Model S.
For some people, I mean, 35 is out of my budget, but 25 I'm looking maybe.
Yeah, but you can I don't know. I think there are enough people that can stretch to 35 to sell every single one they can make, and that's been proven.
Right. So yeah, personally, I don't think it's a problem because production is battery constrained and will be for the foreseeable future. So it makes sense to put the batteries into vehicles with higher margins anyway. So, and this leaves the door open for other automakers to fill that niche.
And I loved how there was some conversation. Everyone's been like, Tesla makes cars for the mission and they're trying to get cars as low priced as possible. But meanwhile, they're like, our cost to build has gone down, our price has gone up, and that's helped. I'm like, welcome to running a business. This is how it works.
Right.
And it's just under this veil, I think, of this transition to sustainability. They just need to make money, and they're making good money, and it's awesome. And building great cars, by the way.
Hey, Tom, what were you going to say?
No, I was just piggybacking on Kyle's discussion about that. The Tesla's motto is to bring sustainability to the world. It's about making money. I mean, they're a company. Yes, that will also happen, but it's this general belief that I think a lot of Tesla fans might hold is that Tesla's doing this just for the good of the world. Is total BS. I mean, yes, they are. That's going to be a byproduct of it, but they're there to make money, and you need to make money to do good things also. So you need to be profitable to do good things, but the profitability comes first.
I think that a lot of that, though, was the impetus for the original plan. And, I think, he sincerely thinks, that we have a climate issue and, and he began this huge project like so many years ago, he could have put his money in. There's a whole lot of ways to make money if you're just looking to make money, and starting a car company is not one of them generally, But anyway, yeah, now they're definitely, they're making money and they have their eyes set on making a lot of money into the future. Right. So the other good news on the call, there was good news, I guess, actually. Was on the Model Y front. Both Austin and Berlin Gigafactories have begun producing cars, and Berlin still has some red tape to cut through before they can really kick it off. But Austin is ready to go, and first deliveries, they say, are going to happen this quarter. Those cars out of Austin will have the structural packs with the 4680 cells, and the Berlin Model Y will still have the same 2170 cells that they've been using for now, at least. I'm looking forward to seeing some testing of with these Austin-made Model Ys. I'll be interested to see if performance, range, or charging speed has improved. I expect these will be lighter, so there could be even some differences in driving dynamics. Or am I being too optimistic, Kyle?
Any change will make a difference in the way the car drives.
Right. Mm. So do we have an estimate of how much weight you think they'll take out of it with these new cells? Maybe like a couple 100 pounds?
I mean, that would be pretty amazing. It just also matters where the weight's coming out from. Is it going to be this new casting? Is it going to be weight out of the central battery pack? Because that's going to be harder to feel because it's already in a pretty hidden spot within the car's rotation point and sort of, down low, you don't feel a difference. So any weight out of the car is good, but specifically where they take the weight out of the car would be better or worse in some scenarios.
Right. I think most of the weight's going to come out of the battery pack.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a hard one to feel.
Right. Okay.
And this for me was the biggest bit of news from the whole thing, which was, these 4680 cells, which they're making on their pilot line, they're making plenty of them, but they were saying the yield hasn't been good enough. But that to me says the yield is starting to be at a point at which the quality is good enough to put into passenger cars, and to launch a car with their own designed format of cell in terms of its dimensions, its chemistry, something which they have done themselves and not, in partnership with Panasonic, is fantastic. And then they just went to the market after a while and was like, right, what can we buy here? And whether it's the LFP cells from CATL or whatever. But that's a really huge piece of news and testament to the incredible people working there to drive this technology forward. And if they feel that the technology is at a point now where they can put it into cars, that's amazing. No timeline on when the customers will get those cars from Texas. But if the first cars, and the cars coming out of Berlin using the existing 2170 cells, no surprise. I mean, we heard like 6 months ago, they were, I think they're tendering, it was LG that I won that possibly for a supply contract in terms of, this year, the Berlin cars are going to have existing technology, even though, see, so much changes. So when it was announced on the earnings call, Elon Musk can speak with such certainty or just so matter of fact. I forget which earnings call it was, but he said, "Oh yeah, and the first cars coming out of Berlin, yeah, that'll have the 4680 cells." Yeah. So, and it's like sometimes he's like, "Oh, cool, maybe we could do that in 2 years' time. I don't know." And then you think, well, okay, add a year to that because it's Elon time. And then other times he says, "Yeah, the first cars out of Berlin, 4680 cells." Yes. And then add 2 years. Like you're so far, you haven't built the cell production yet in Berlin. So which is, that's life following Tesla, I guess. But this is huge news that these new cells, they're making themselves coming out of cars from Texas, which ironically, they still have to ship out of state and then bring back if you're a Texan Tesla buyer, which does, I still don't get. I'm thousands of miles away. I don't understand your system. But but that's a huge piece of news. That itself should have driven excitement. And this pod, we're not about the stock price because, as you say,
we don't own any.
No, we don't own any. But also for what was not, it wasn't a terrible earnings call. It shouldn't have lost. Nothing happened on that call to lose 11% of a company's value. Like Elon lost 10% of his net worth yesterday. Boo-hoo! I'm crying tears for Elon. But still, like there was nothing on that call that meant the company should have lost that much. If the stock market was rational, nothing happened to make Tesla worth 11% less. So. It's frustrating because there was good news in that call, like Texas.
Right.
He's got his Starbucks.
I'm looking for these new Model Ys to, just be better, like fit and finished. I'm just like really looking forward to seeing them put on the microscope and just seeing how, much they improved. A few people are mentioning the suspension in the Model Y. Where's that? Skylar Barrick. It's jumping around when I click on it for some reason. But suspension is one of the reasons she went for Model 3 over a Model Y. Other people just complain it's a bit rough, and I think a lot of people agree that's one area that Tesla can improve the car. So maybe they've done that with this. Maybe it being a little bit lighter will make that easier to accomplish. I don't know. Kyle, if you have thoughts about that, does lightness make any difference to suspension?
Yeah, anything will make a difference, but you have to adapt the car for the changes. So hopefully they go softer and less stiff because Model Y is way too stiff. Although when we were in the Boring Company tunnel we were in a brand new Y, and the guy was like, "This is way smoother than the other ones."
Oh, right.
But I haven't heard any other news other than that one guy's opinion. But I don't know. They're not really employees of like Tesla. They just are like hired for events to drive the cars. So I don't know what his driving analysis background was. But he seemed to think that the new one was softer than the older ones.
Right.
Yeah. Did you see Thomas from Autogefühl, his video this week? Driving
the
Model Y?
The whole thing,
so I saw the thumbnail and it's saved in my watch later because I love Thomas.
You've got to watch it.
Favorites.
He's such a level-headed German, right? And yet he drove the Model Y, and it's so rare to see him lose his what, because I won't spoil it, but he's like, how can anyone make suspension this bad? Like on a 20 grand car, let alone a 50 grand car.
It's the worst part of the Model Y. I don't know how people get away with it because so many people, like even my mom went from a Model Y to a Macan. And then she was like, "Oh, wow, the Porsche is so much better tuned." And I'm like, "Yes, I've been telling you this." But she's driven nice cars forever. I think people there's so many other things bombarding you about the Tesla. Smoothness is low on the list. Also, because it's so stiff, it does mean it handles well, and it does. That car shreds up a back road. A Model Y is one of the most fun SUVs to drive quickly. Who's doing that though? No one.
Right. But someone's saying the Ioniq 5 is so much better, and you did like the Ioniq 5's driving dynamics too, right? A little softer, but
yeah, Model Y will smoke an Ioniq 5 on a back road though, no question. Right. But in terms of daily driving, I'd give up the compromise and go Ioniq 5. When I drove EV6, I thought that was the perfect compromise because sportier than Ioniq 5. And Tom was on the program, I wasn't, so I can talk about what I thought about it. So it was, just that nice balance of increase in sportiness, but Ioniq 5 is a little bit softer. Granted, I drove a EU spec EV6, so the US versions will be maybe different, maybe not, but we find
it on Monday. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, but it'll be different. It'll be difficult to know sort of the intricacies, even myself, without driving them back to back, because I'm sure it's minor differences.
Right.
I've seen some comments say, when are we going to start talking about the EV6? You might have missed the early part of the show. I can't talk about it. It's under embargo. So we're not really going to get to Kyle can, because he drove it in Europe, which is a different program, and he can talk about it. But it's the way embargoes work here. I can't talk about driving impressions of the EV6, even though I just drove it 2 days ago.
I do have the pricing on the list here, though, of stories we'll get to in a bit. Yeah, pretty quickly, actually. So let me just wrap this other bit up, too. So the other big news from the call had to be that Elon said the priority for engineering and development in 2022 is the human-robot Optimus subprime. Potential to be more significant than auto business. So there's lots of skepticism surrounding this project, and I have to say I'm in that camp until I see it doing something astounding, or at least something that can convince me of its intrinsic value. I expect robots to be a huge industry eventually, but how long is it going to be before we see bipedal robots replacing humans on an assembly line? We have like stationary robots, making cars, but acting like humans, walking around and just doing just directly replacing one human beings. I don't know. I want to see a robot make a loaf of bread from scratch in like a typical human kitchen, and then I see that level of sophistication before I can get too excited about robot Dom.
Don't worry, it's friendly.
Dom, but I do want to add, at San Francisco at SFO Airport, there is a kiosk where a robot makes coffee. It's a coffee stand, and exactly. There's no humans in it. It's just an arm that goes around and makes your coffee. I didn't get a cup there. I was gonna try it just to see how it was, but I was in a little bit of a rush. So,
but I want to see like a robot like go behind the counter of a regular cafe and just like replace a barista, and just be able to, it's a dynamic environment.
If we're introducing robots, why wouldn't we introduce processes that robots can excel in? Why would they have to mix in with human tasks?
Because maybe, I don't know.
Okay, me either.
Because I expect to see us working side by side, We
obviously don't know how to evaluate robots.
Yeah, no, we're not a robot podcast.
But this could be the reason that so many people found it a disappointing call, even though there was really good bits of news in there. They were hard to spot because when Elon Musk gets frustrated, because they asked a very good question about what's the take rate on buying FSD, because one of the not the retail investors, but one of the, because sometimes the retail questions are really good as well, and there's some dumb ones. But one of the institutional investors was asking about what's the take rate of full self-driving, because obviously it's $12,000 to buy and still $199 to subscribe to, which is a good model to move everyone to, unless you've bought it, in which case you'd be furious. They just move everyone to subscribing and give refunds or whatever. But and he gets frustrated, and you can tell when Elon Musk gets frustrated, and because he thinks that everyone isn't operating on his plane. And he's like, you guys don't understand the value of autonomy. When autonomy arrives with cars, it changes the game. Maybe we do, after all these years of being told, this is the year we'll achieve it, and then it doesn't. This is the year. This is the year. Maybe he's cried wolf too many times. And
hey, Martin, what do you think? Okay, so they say a car's sits around and it'll have 5 times more utilization when FSD happens. I think was the number he used. Where are people going 5 times more frequently?
People hire, they take the place of your regular Uber or Lyft. it's
Yeah,
like
but
gone
those
without
cars
you.
are out there running. So it's like we have cars, people
We
are
have cars
traveling.
already.
Like at least in the US in modern areas, like the barrier to entry to go somewhere is rock bottom. Either you have a car, your friend has a car, we have good public transport in urban areas. It's relatively inexpensive. You can ride a bike, whatever. Where are people going 5 times more
It's
frequently?
not. It's not that people are going to go 5 times more, Kyle. It's that 5 people will use 1 car.
Right.
That's how the utilization goes up. People won't be
I
buying
see.
cars.
So we're going to get rid of cars and just have fewer of them.
Right. Well,
Basically, yes.
they probably won't, because as the population increases, but instead of the numbers of cars increasing, it might hold at a level as the higher utilization goes. So that's the whole point of that. And there have been studies. There have been studies that back that up. I haven't heard 5. I heard 3 a few years ago.
I don't know what the number was.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't understand. I don't like sharing cars with people. Like if I'm in an Uber, I don't select let me pool to this place with someone.
Right.
I go, I'm just going to stay in the car by myself. Thank you very much.
That doesn't surprise me.
But you can
That's
also
what they're
afford
doing.
it. You can afford it. There's people that
Well,
can't
it's like-
afford it. And
We'll have to see what the pricing difference is. You stuff 5 people in a car. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
Elon
Especially
thinks it's going to
elderly
be.
people
Elon's saying-
shouldn't be driving anymore. Like they hold on to their car because they need mobility, but they'll be getting rid of their cars if it's very easy to just hail a car really quickly, pulls up to your house, takes you to the doctors, to the supermarket, or whatever. All that's going to crunch down. You might not be the perfect example
No, I
of
understand.
how that
I'm
will
not.
use.
I'm just trying to understand someone who doesn't currently own a car where this service will help them more than an Uber, which we already have. Because
Right.
we already
well,
have
this will
data on
replace
people
Uber because
doing
it won't need a driver. Uber drivers need to go home and sleep.
No,
and all
Make
like
it
that.
a lot more
Surprising.
affordable.
And make
If
it
you think
affordable,
Uber's
so-
affordable now. Like if a $20
No,
Uber
Uber's not
ride might
affordable.
cost $6.
Well, he's saying
Yeah,
it's going to be cheaper than the
Uber-
bus eventually.
Uber's
So
ridiculously expensive, actually.
Well, I'm just saying that this
around
will
here, yeah.
dramatically, when you don't have to pay that person to drive it, it's going to dramatically lower the cost.
Yeah, look, I'm not doubting the benefits of FSD. I'm just doubting the public's, I guess, openness to go into these smaller spaces in higher quantities. We've seen people wanting to spread out more. I'm not sure I really want to share a car with 4 other people and get crammed in there. So,
Right.
maybe not. It all comes down to cost, though. You're totally right, Tom. If it is significantly cheaper, which I'm sure it will be, that's the use case right there.
I mean, that's the argument he makes. I don't know if it's. I mean, there's lots of doubters out there. And speaking of which, I should talk about the other thing because it's part of this whole conversation. So, sticking to the skeptical side of statements made during the call, Elon also said that he's fully confident that true level 4 automated driving will be achieved, and his personal guess is that it will happen this year. Of course, he's been saying this for like the past
for the
5
last-
years. But
yeah, 5-6 years, something like that.
so, personally, I'll believe it when I see it. At this point, I
My
think we all
car
have
still
different
slams
opinions.
slams on the brakes for the same bridge it's done for the last 3 years.
Right. I think, yeah. I don't. Should we make a little bet about when this is going to happen?
No,
Because
because I won't even be alive.
No. But it's not happening. It's not because there are so many examples of where autopilot and FSD are utterly brilliant, and there are so many examples where it's trying to kill you,
it just falls on his face sometimes.
or
when-
an old lady crossing the road, or I saw one this week where like the guy he's got his FSD beta and he's all happy because he's been having his wet dreams about Elon Musk for the last couple of years, and he's got his beta and it's amazing, and he's videoing himself and he's heading towards some construction work, and there's a guy in a high-vis vest holding a stop sign. So look, this guy's put himself in the road. Okay, so there's a construction worker who is putting himself in the way of traffic, and he's like going, is the car going to slow down? I'm taking over. And like, don't kill construction workers just to make your FSD beta video,
Right.
guy. Hit the brakes for God's sake. Like this
Right.
thing
drive the
isn't
car.
going level.
You're still the driver.
It
you know?
isn't going level 4 this year. And if there was any truth in this whole, it's worth $100,000. It's like the African Prince email scam where someone emails you to go, I've got all this money and you can have some of it if only you help me out, right? Tesla
You know
needs to
what's
drop
worth it? You know where there's real
It's-
value for Tesla to make money? Let me pay $500 to give me lane changes on the highway.
They'd
That's
be
the
better
only
not.
thing I really need.
Yeah.
They'd be better not selling you a car. They'd be so.
Yeah.
Look, if it's true that they can make like 5x on a vehicle, why would they sell you one? They would keep all the ones they can make.
They would just stash them somewhere.
and operate as this amazing company with huge margins. Like the business isn't selling you cars; the business is making cars to keep them. If they believed it, they'd keep them for themselves. And
Also,
not sell you
who's
one.
to say if I buy FSD for 12 grand that I want my car out there working for me? I want my car in my driveway, so I can use it whenever I want.
that's your choice. That's your that's
Yeah, so there's
You
no
know-
value, there's no intrinsic value monetarily for me to spend $12,000 to get FSD because I won't loan my car out. I let my friends take Jordan borrows out. I don't care. I don't want just random people getting in the back of my car without me in there and no steering wheel.
right. I hear you. So Ryan Huber also mentions that don't forget to mention that he freely admitted that we don't know if Dojo, that's the big AI computer
Hey, Ryan.
trading system. Hey, Ryan.
Ryan's awesome.
If it'll be useful, let alone having it up and running. Yeah, he said it was something about the. It's just going to make small improvements like the March of 9 is like 99.9% better, or 99.9% better. But right now it's not at 90%. Better. I don't know.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's like,
sometimes
wow,
it
this
is,
was
but
really incredible.
90% of the time
sometimes
it's awesome,
like,
but then
it's
the other you need
really
it.
incredible until it's not. Then it's like 0%.
Right.
And you guys know this is where I find frustrating is that there's 5% of madness that I think undoes a huge amount of good work and goodwill in Tesla, who make incredible cars, are building factories like nobody else, are inventing new technologies and deserve credit for that. Like 1 million vehicles last year, could do 1.4 million vehicles this year. Elon Musk said they're going to be comfortably above 50% growth this year. And again, I wonder if the people in the room winced because that's a big promise. Like the letter didn't say comfortably above 50% growth, but if they do 1.4, 1.5 million cars this year, it is the most incredible achievement for any startup car company. And yet here we are talking about stupid robots and whether the cars will self-drive themselves. They won't by the end of this year or anytime soon. But let's talk about
Tesla killed the 3 Series. I have not seen a new 3 Series on the road, maybe 5 since the new generation launched. Compared with the last 3 Series launch, they're on every corner. And I just see 1 million Model 3s everywhere. Imagine telling BMW that.
Yeah.
But Martin, you're 100% right. But unfortunately, we can't, split Elon Musk. We can't remove the 2% of the guy that makes these wildly unreliable and statements that just are irresponsible statements from the 98% guy that's super genius and visionary. It just comes with the package.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you take it all or nothing.
It's not changing.
And
I'm an Elon fan because I like that he at least speaks his mind. Whether or not I agree with his mind is different. But I like I like that he's just like, oh, we're gonna do it, and then hopefully it comes through.
Like, oh, we didn't do it. We'll do it next year.
I like that. I like that part of it.
I love that about Elon.
It gets left done.
I agree. I like that. But
Bites
here's where I don't like it, and I'm certain Martin's going to agree with me on this. I don't like when he says we're going to have it done by the end of this year, so buy it for $12,000, and then 4 years later, somebody who stretched their budget to spend that $4,000, that $12,000, still has nothing more than a basic ADAS system that's a good ADAS system that's available in most vehicles. So that's the issue. It's great to say that we're pushing forward, we're going to do this, it's going to be available this year, but then you're pimping something for a very expensive amount of money and people are stretching their budgets. They'll have the car for 3 years, they'll sell it in 3 years, they've never been able to chance to use it, and then it has no value at the time of sale because then it gets removed from the person that you sell it to. So that's a problem. And that's not right, in my opinion. That's where I have a real big problem with him saying we're going to get there, we're going to get there, we're going to get there. Oh, give me $12,000, we're going to get there. That's wrong.
Also, why did it go up from 10 to 12? That's what I don't understand.
With no new features. It's to create a sense of panic of people thinking they're missing out on something. When the price goes up, you're like, yeah, it's fine. They have a billion.
How about, sorry, just came out. How about saying we're going to get there this year, or we'll give you your money back?
Amazing. Do that.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. That'd be nice. Put your money where your mouth is. That'd be nice.
Can put your money where your mouth is.
And be specific of what it is. We are going to get to level 2, or like this level of certain driving or disengagement rate, or we'll give you your money back. But the phrase full self-driving can either mean a really good level 2 ADAS system, which it does to all of us, and the people watching this know what when full self-driving is complete, what it can do. So by the end of the year, it might do a bunch of, like it does at the minute, a bunch of journeys for you, and it's brilliant. But too many people think they're going to be sleeping in their car, and that is what will not be achieved in every possible situation. It might be achieved on certain bits of, like it is in Germany, certain bits of mapped Autobahn where they've just legalized hands-off, eyes-off driving on the Mercedes-Benz EQS below a certain speed. But again, a highly mapped area and a very controlled, and again, they're going to monitor that, and regulators will catch up. It won't be this year. But to your point of the trust that this company can get from people, they've got $1 billion in interest-free loans from people, like yourselves, with Cybertruck reservations. And this company can get away with having $1 billion of your money, but which we've got highest inflation rates in 30 years here, at least, is worth less every day. They've got it as an interest-free loan, and they can simply go on an earnings call. Yeah, hopefully next year, maybe not. And there's no outrage, because people love this company so much that everyone's like, yeah, it's fine, don't worry, keep my money. And you have to be impressed by what they've created, or what even Elon has created.
Just and just think about the 2021 Tesla Roadster winners.
Let's not. The Roadster's never coming. No one's ever getting their free Roadsters.
Actually, I think it's kind of alluded that might happen next year. So we'll see. But
I can't wait for that car when it does come. That's just going to be awesome. But
I mean, they do have just some of the whole thing. They do have a lot of things going on. I thought like the call wasn't nearly as it made. It was fine as far as they've got their battery 4680 cell production up and running, and that's really the most important thing of all this electric stuff. The spice must flow, as they say.
Hey Dom, did we have news other than Tesla stuff? Just because there was one particular story I wanted to bring up, but I don't know if we were going to talk about it.
Ready to switch gears. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's move on. So enough Tesla for the day. How's that? Let's talk about Kia EV6 pricing for a sec. So the pricing came out this week, and it looks like it's slightly higher than the Hyundai Ioniq 5 car that shares the platform with. The base car with a smaller 58 kilowatt hour battery starts at $40,900, while the big 77.4 kilowatt hour battery kicks off at $47,000. There's 3 trim levels: light, wind, and sporty GT line trim. Wind is the middle level. It's a weird name. But anyway, at the end of the year, the top of the line GT version will also join the lineup. That'll be the quick one. So if you want the top trim in all-wheel drive now, you're gonna have to plunk down $55,900 plus $1,215 destination. Of course, if you can afford this kind of a price tag, you'll also probably be able to take advantage of the $7,500 federal tax credit. So that would bring the price down to about $50,000 or just below $50,000 if there's not a whole lot of options on it. So I don't know if anyone wants to hit on that.
What do you think the GT will be priced at?
Oh,
it's
3.5 seconds, 0 to 60.
That's going to be a spicy meatball.
Like 580 horsepower, yeah.
I think it's come at the end of this year.
That's going to be the car. I mean, that is just going to smoke everything.
It'll be like Model Y performance, though, right? Basically.
Yeah, but the thing is, we haven't really seen anything crazy spicy from Kia other than the Stinger GT2, was it?
Yep.
And now Hyundai's N product line,
right,
is insane, and so hopefully Kia can get some of their chassis magic over there. And this is just going to be so exciting. Of course, 55K at a Kia. Look, it's going to be expensive. When you get a fast car like that, I think they've proven that the Stinger was a desirable product that was worth the money, and I think they can do it with EV6 GT.
It was a bargain too.
Yeah, huge bargain. That thing would drift like crazy. It was so fast. It was awesome.
Sales didn't really take off like expected to. It's not like anywhere near a charge.
Supply limited. They just didn't bring enough here.
Because there wasn't enough demand?
No, I just don't think they built that many. I know we just saw a special edition orange one. You just don't see them. But I remember like dealers marking them up back in the day,
right,
for Stinger GTs.
Okay. I just expected it to be it didn't really rise to the level like a Mustang or Camaro or Challenger in it, but it's got
Yeah,
that
because
level.
that was like, that's boy racer. This was like sedan, but also if you're going to spend 50, 60 grand on a Kia, you could buy like a used AMG or a used M3. So a lot of people went that route. So it was more for the prestige of the name. In this case, there's not many performance EVs on the market. So it's a very limited playing field that you're in.
That's true. GV6 coming too. That'll be spicy as well.
Yeah, I saw one of those on the road, and we had some conversations with our colleagues from Motor One and Inside EVs that GV60 wasn't a good-looking car, and I have to agree in the bright green color that they launched it in. But I saw one in gray,
right,
and it looked
much
fine.
nicer.
It had Genesis road presence.
I mentioned that when I was at the Testival testing the electric car chargers, that there was one there, and it was in that gray color, and I thought it looked fine. You know, it was like they put it in the worst possible color when they introduced it. It was almost, I mean, it's crazy that, I mean, I like going bold and making things pop, but that just didn't work on that car.
Yeah,
Some bright colors just don't work, and that looked great in person, if you ask me.
Totally agree. And also, there's a great review here from this guy over in Korea, and love his reviews. And he always gets all the Hyundai Kia stuff first because I think he like lives down the street from the factory or something. But
Asian petrol head, I believe.
Yeah,
Asian petrol. He drives pretty quickly on public roads.
I know,
like,
he shreds so hard.
like there's probably like losing a bit of traction, and he's doing some oversteer correction, and I'm like, dude, you're like on public roads, but his videos are amazing.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Look, I don't know what it's like driving in Korea, but I want to go this year because there's so much innovation in the EV space going on in South Korea right now. There's every DC fast charging company has some sort of presence there. And then also you have Hyundai Kia just next leveling it. There's also a lot of hydrogen stuff going on, which I have still yet to drive a hydrogen powered vehicle. I think they're very silly. But I do think there are some applications where it makes sense, specifically large scale. So I'm going to be looking forward to diving into that this year a little bit more. We actually have a hydrogen electrolyzer and filling station being installed at our office. It's the only one in Colorado, I think. And so we'll be able to test some hydrogen stuff.
And your office is on the campus of which university?
Colorado State University. Yep.
All right.
Kyle, you got to see if BMW, I know you've got good hooks there, can get you the X5 hydrogen. Because it's the best driving hydrogen vehicle that I've ever been in.
Well, we could do a comparison of all three hydrogen cars on sale right now: the Mirai, the Nexo, and the X5. I don't think there are any others, right?
Yeah. No. I drove the Mirai. It was, decent performance, but not great driving.
Yeah, but it's built on a Lexus LS chassis, so it should be pretty comfortable.
Yeah, it was comfortable.
The X5 was the only hydrogen car that I ever was in that when you stomp on it, it feels like an EV, where you've got like that neck snapping acceleration where it just takes off. Yeah. All the other ones just kind of like womp, like they get up to speed, but they don't have that torque. And the X5, I couldn't tell the difference between that and an X5 BEV. So
the thing that bothers me about hydrogen powered vehicles though is you have this initial buffer where it is a battery electric car. You have to store it. But then once your battery dies, your hydrogen engine, I don't even know what the stuff's called. Fuel cell can't keep up with the power demand. So it must have a nominal power and a peak power rating somewhere in there. It just depends on how long you can sustain peak for. But we're working on finding a test facility to do this type of testing right here in Colorado. So we'll be working on it.
Right, so the other big news of the week came from GM. They announced that besides making electric pickup trucks in Factory Zero in Hamtramck, Detroit, they're also spending $4 billion to convert their Orion facility, and they're going to build the Chevy Silverado EV and the GMC Sierra Electric there as well. So they want to be able to produce about 600,000 electric trucks a year at these two plants in just like a few years' time. So to help to support that production, they also announced that they're building a third Ultium battery cell manufacturing plant. That's Ultium's their partnership with LG Chem, and that'll be in Lansing, Michigan. It'll produce 50 gigawatt hours of batteries, and its other two battery factories are about 30 gigawatt hours each. So this one is significantly larger, and that'll help support the volume of vehicles that they're gearing up to build. Of course, Orion is also where the Chevy Bolt EV and EUV is or was being built. So expect production to restart there on that soon, and it will continue while Orion is being revamped to build these trucks. But there will be an announcement regarding the Bolt sometimes in February. It will be built at least for some time, for a while. I don't know if
that's the end of the Bolt, isn't it? So that announcement that where the Bolt is made, they're going to retool it. No mention of the Bolt in that release, and if it had a future, they would have mentioned that. So that's.
You think they'll even start it back up?
No, well, it's meant to start in February, but they have. Well, God, they have to, don't they? But for a car that can trace its way back, Dom, as you know, to the Spark, etc. It's long in the tooth, and it doesn't use the Ultium battery and powertrain technology, and so it's going to.
Equinox is going to come out. The electric Ultium Equinox is going to cut it off. The needs with price wise is going to be as the same price or cheaper for more car. So they either need to.
Such a wasted development cycle on the refresh and the EUV.
But it could be the ultimate bargain,
or they could re-engineer it to handle the Ultium system and make it a $25,000 car. I mean, that would be the play.
I know
that'd be a possibility anyway. I
know Tom's going to go in a couple of minutes. So
is gone after this. Too many people associate it with bad memories.
Right, it's very possible. So Tom reminded me this before the show that too. We got this look and we got to see it inside the ID Buzz cabin. I believe we get to hear all about that and at least what the driving is like in a few weeks, like 4 or 5 weeks from now. I mean, the people are starting to drive it. Like journalists are going to check it out next week, but they can't talk about it until I think sometime in late February.
But how cool is that they're doing? Finally, they're actually inviting journalists to come look at this.
Right.
I got to see one in Munich, but not anywhere near in this production, guys.
Okay. And if you're looking on the screen, you can see we have the Inside EV story up there. Here's the first look inside the VW ID Buzz. What do you think? So, what do you think, Tom?
Well, looks very familiar, right? It shares a lot of components with ID3, ID4, at least up front. The driver's position looks real familiar. Look, I like it. I want to see the whole thing with all the camo off. The concept looked so cool, and it seems like what we've been seeing now under camo doesn't appear to have the sexy lines that the concept does. Now, I know that happens a lot, but sometimes you're able to retain a lot of that, magic that the concepts have. I mean, many of the new cars now, it seems like automakers are staying more true to concepts than they did in past years. So let's see. The interior looks cool. I mean, I think that looks funky. This is going to be such an interesting vehicle. I have two of my good close friends that have told me, look, all about electric vehicles. When this thing's getting close to being able to purchase, let us know because we want to go to our dealership and put an early deposit on one. Yeah. So I think there's going to be a lot of interest in it. But hey, it looks totally idea-ish from these pictures here.
Right. I mean, it's not a bad thing, really.
No, not at all. I mean, it's Kyle always says it's kind of a happy car. You sit inside, you look around, and you smile. I don't think this is any different than that. I think it looks cool on the inside, at least. I'm really anxious to see once they have cover off the exterior if they didn't just destroy the front of the vehicle, because the front of the vehicle looked so cool in the concept.
Right.
That's yet to be determined.
Right, and it's interesting to see if in the back there. I'm not sure what's going on with that 2 kind of level thing, but I did want to mention though the range too should be pretty decent. It's got a 111 kilowatt hour battery, I believe, coming. So,
the platform can take it. The MEB platform can take that capacity with their current cells. Doesn't mean it's going to have it. It should do. I mean, it should do.
That's what we've been expecting. But I guess we'll see. We'll find out
anyway,
soon enough.
I don't know if you saw the chat. Tom's got to make a dash in a minute, so I didn't want to. If you haven't seen it,
I did. Yeah.
Cool. I got to jump off at 11. I have a Zoom call I have to get on in 2 minutes from now.
Well, let's just wrap it up then. I think the other headline maybe talk about a little bit was the Tesla V3 supercharger output to be increased by 324 kilowatts. So there could be a charging speed increase on Tesla superchargers pretty soon. That's something to look out for. And that's about it, really. I don't know. Anything to add? Hey, Jordan.
No.
Anything to add? All right. So that brings us to the end of our show. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them on the Inside EVs Forum podcast thread or on our YouTube or Twitch comment sections. If you like the show, please give us a thumbs up if you're watching us on YouTube. Don't forget you can find and follow our panelists on Twitter. Follow Tom Malogny at Tomolog with 2 M's. Martin Lee is at EV News Daily. Kyle Connor is at It's Kyle Connor. My bad opinions are at Dominic_Y. Click subscribe and tap that bell icon for notifications, and we'll see you all again next week. Ciao.